Love overcome all barriers. A fateful encounter. I am James, 25 years old, a software engineer living in a small apartment in the city's heart. My job is busy, but I always find peace at the small coffee shop near my house. It is cozy, with old wooden tables, soft yellow lights, and the scent of coffee in the air. One rainy afternoon, when water drops rolled down the glass window, I met Emily. She is 24 years old and a freelance artist with wavy curly hair and bright eyes that seem to contain the whole world. She sits in the corner of the shop, her hands lightly gliding over her sketchbook, occasionally looking up at the falling rain. I don't know what drew me closer to her. Maybe it was the fleeting smile when she realized I was looking, or the way she accidentally dropped her pen on the floor, and I picked it up for her. We started talking, and from then on, my heart was no longer at peace. Just a few weeks later, we were madly in love. But that happiness quickly evaporated when I learned a horrifying truth. Our families were sworn enemies. My father, Mr. William, and Emily's mother, Mrs. Sophia, had been rivals in a business dispute decades ago, leaving behind a grudge that spanned 2 generations. When I told my father, he shouted, "You can't see that girl again!" Emily cried when her mother threatened to disown her if she didn't break up with me. Our love, from the start, was forbidden. The escape plan and the price to pay. We refused to give in. Emily and I decided to meet secretly, avoiding the prying eyes of our families. Our dates in the dark, under the trees in the park, or in the hidden corners of coffee shops were both sweet and painful. But as time went on, the secrecy became more and more suffocating. One night, as the rain continued to fall, I took Emily's hand and said, "Let's run away. Just the 2 of us." Her eyes lit up, but I saw a flash of fear. Still, she nodded. We made elaborate plans, an overnight bus out of town, and a small house in the country to start over. But just before we left, Emily's brother, Michael, found out. He burst into my room, punched me in the face, and shouted, "Are you trying to ruin my sister?" Emily cried out, trying to stop him, but Michael had already called both families. The confrontation occurred at Emily's house, a large house in the suburbs with a large garden and a white picket fence. But that day, the peaceful garden was filled with shouting. My father grabbed me by the collar, and Emily's mother pointed at her and scolded, "You're a disgrace to me." In my despair, I shouted, "If we can't be together, we'll die." Emily hugged me, sobbing, "I'd rather die than live without him." The air seemed to stop. My father let go, his face pale. Emily's mother trembled and turned away. Conditional freedom. After that terrible night, both families relented, but not because they accepted us. They allowed us to meet, but under strict supervision. Whenever we went on a date, I felt Michael's cold gaze or my father's terrifying silence. My favorite coffee shop had become an invisible prison, where the wooden tables and yellow lights no longer brought warmth. Emily tried to smile, but I saw sadness in her eyes. Our love was still alive, but it was being suffocated every day. Heroic acts and unexpected events. One night, when we escaped outside to breathe some free air, an accident happened right in front of us. A child ran into the road, and the oncoming truck did not slow down. Without thinking, I rushed out to pull the child to the side of the road while Emily shouted to warn the driver. The child was safe, but I was injured in the leg and blood soaked my shoes. Emily hugged me, sobbing. The act was filmed by a passerby and posted online. Within hours, the video had gone viral across the city. The press called us the heroic couple. Under pressure from public opinion, my father and Emily's mother were forced to meet to discuss. I thought things would change, but then another twist happened. Michael spread rumors that I had deliberately staged the incident to please Emily's family. Suspicions arose again, and the 2 families asked us to live apart for a while to prove our love. Distance and pain. I had no choice. An opportunity to work abroad came at the right time, and I decided to go to prove myself. Before leaving, I stood under Emily's window, looking at her one last time through the rain. She waved, her tears mingling with the falling water. I boarded the plane, carrying my broken heart. Overseas, I threw myself into work, trying to forget about missing Emily. But every night, I dreamed of her, of the coffee shop, of her garden, of the smile I hadn't seen for a long time. I thought time would ease the pain, but I was wrong. The third person. After a year, I returned, full of hope. But when I got to Emily's house, I saw her laughing and talking with another man, David, a famous artist. He was tall and handsome, and how he looked at Emily made my heart clench. I rushed over, growling, "She's mine!" David sneered, "You left for a year, and I'm here for her." Emily stood between us, eyes red, speechless. The confrontation was as tense as a string. I punched David, he punched back, and we rolled around on the lawn in front of Emily's house. She shouted, "Stop! Both of you!" But I couldn't stop. I shouted at David, "I sacrificed everything for her, what about you?" He looked at me, gasping for breath, then said, "I love her too, but I won't force her to choose." The truth revealed. Emily walked over and held my hand, her voice trembling. "James, I tried to forget you, but I couldn't. David was good to me, but you are the one I love." David turned away, leaving us in silence. I hugged Emily, feeling her warmth after so many days apart. But that joy was incomplete because the two families still did not accept us. Reconciliation and happiness. Secrets of the past. Everything changed when my grandmother, Grandma Lily, and Emily's grandfather, Grandpa Henry, appeared. During a tense family meeting at Emily's house, my grandmother stood up, her voice choked up. "Do you know what the old conflict was? Just because of a wrong shipment, we let hatred divide our children and grandchildren." Grandpa Henry nodded. "I apologized to William 20 years ago, but he wouldn't listen." My father and Emily's mother were stunned. Michael bowed, muttering, "So it was all because of a misunderstanding?" The atmosphere in the large room, with its white walls and the scent of flowers from the garden, suddenly became lighter. They looked at me and Emily, then at each other, and finally nodded. Dream wedding day. We held our wedding in a lush green park, where tall trees and a small lake sparkled in the sunlight. Emily, wearing a white dress, walked towards me, smiling brightly like the day I first met her. The two families stood side by side, no more hatred, only laughter and hugs of reconciliation. When the ceremony ended, I held Emily's hand, looking at the horizon. The cafe, the garden, and the park witnessed our journey. Our love had overcome all barriers, and I knew, from now on, nothing could separate us anymore. Emily and I's story is a testament to the power of true love. We faced opposition, distance, and even moments when we thought we would lose each other forever. But in the end, love won. If you ask me what is the most important thing, never give up, even if the world is against you. If you find the story interesting and meaningful, please share it with your friends and relatives. And importantly, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Thank you.